Okay, hi there. This is Craig Hain. My students call me Dr. Dell, and I want to teach you in this video how my Uncle Jack began to teach me arithmetic using Cheerios. So I'll call this Cheerio math, and I think you'll find it very interesting and very easy to do. I think any parent can use it to help their child learn math at the very beginning of it, and I hope you enjoy this video and see how my Uncle Jack helped me begin to learn math. Okay, now as promised, I'm going to show you how my Uncle Jack taught me basic arithmetic. And first thing he taught me to do was to count. Now, I would just learn to count using the audio words 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And essentially, this was before I learned to write it out in either numerals or in letters. It was just the words. And as a matter of fact, I've recently been teaching my 3.5-year-old granddaughter to count, and she can count to 20 now, but she just doesn't know the meaning of the numbers. It's just a sequence of audio sounds of words that she can do. She can't spell them. She doesn't know the numerical symbols for them, and she doesn't really even understand yet what they stand for in terms of quantity, but that's probably how you start a young child. Now, at some point then, when they get a little older, you're going to want to begin to show them how to spell the numbers. So O-N-E for 1, and then 2, 3, and 4, and so on. And I'm going to show you how my Uncle Jack, then when I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, began to teach me the meaning of the numbers and how to do things with them. And that's what this lesson, of course, is about. Now, he used what at the time were called Cheerios. They came out in 1941, actually about 6 months before the beginning of the World War II. They were introduced. They were called Cheerios, and then some years later they changed it to the name Cheerios. But they were a very popular cereal, so we had them very, very handy. And he had paper, and he had a pencil, and so we could do this thing. Now, what you want to do, what my Uncle Jack did at least, and you may or may not find this useful, he simply wrote the numbers down, actually the names of the numbers for me, and he was teaching me how to spell then. I was beginning to learn the alphabet and learning to spell all at the same time. And so these are the numbers now that, this goes up to 13 on this regular 8.5, 11 piece of paper. And then he had me begin now to understand what did each one of these numbers represent. So 1, this is 1 Cheerio. 2, this is now 2 Cheerios on top of each other. Then he had me build this out, and of course I'm showing you when you get up to 13, you end up with what we all know is now 13 Cheerios. You can count them, but the important thing is to have the student build this. You want the student to learn by doing, and we're really creating now a sense of understanding the concept of what these numbers mean in terms of a set. And now we're talking about a set of Cheerios. Of course, you don't have to use Cheerios. You can use marbles or anything that you want to use here. I like Cheerios because, first of all, if a child happens to swallow one, it's not going to hurt them. And they're also very inexpensive and easy to do, so there's a very easy prop for you to make up. It won't cost you very much money to do this. Okay, now what you want to do, this is very participative. Your child is going to do this. You've got a 1 and a 2. How are you going to make 3? Well, you're going to come up here and you're going to take Cheerios and you're going to put the same number you had here, and now you're going to add 1 more. And so your child's going to begin to get an idea now of the size, what the number 3 stands for. And then you're going to have them do the next one, and they're going to build 4. And how are they going to get 4? Well, they're going to do exactly what they did over here, but now they're going to always add 1 more. Now your child is already beginning now to understand that 3 plus 1 more is 4. It's intuitive. You don't have to use the words, but they begin to see that. And you want your child now to build this whole thing out, and then we'll talk about what you can do after that. Okay, here it is. I built it out. It took me about 10 minutes to do this, and quite frankly, it was kind of enjoyable. It's a little like knitting or something. It's sort of like meditation to do this. Of course, your child will be learning from this. Now, you want to be, as you know, praising your child as they do this. And if they make a mistake, it's okay. Or if they bump the table and it all gets ripped apart, that's okay too. That's life. That's what happens. We do go through life, and sometimes we build something and then it gets torn down and we have to rebuild it. Have to have patience. That's okay. That's just the way life is. And I went up to 13. Now, you might only want to go to 10, and that would be fine. In fact, that's probably not a bad idea. I don't remember exactly what Uncle Jack did at the time, but he was teaching me then the concept of numbers. So I can see a 7 is bigger than a 6, but it's not as big as an 8. If I add another one up, I get 8, and if I take one away, I get a 6. Now, this is intuitive. You don't need to try to make it formal. That's not the idea. The idea is to I don't know if I've got these quite right here. The idea is to just begin to get a sense of the size of the numbers. That's what you're doing now. But subconsciously, they're beginning to understand that 7 and you add 1 and you get 8. And some children will be perceptive and they'll say, oh, if I start with 7 and then if I add 2 more, then I'm going to get a 9. And some kids will see this. Some will not, and that's okay. We all learn by discovery. We learn by experience. But the important thing is to be able to build this up and to begin to get a sense of the size of these numbers. Now, they may not even know how to spell yet, but they see 4, they see 5, they see 6. They're beginning subconsciously to understand the alphabet and the number system. They may not know the alphabet yet, but they're beginning to see these, and they see that series of letters there represents a quantity of 7. And I'm no elementary school expert. I just know how more or less I was taught, and I must say, when I entered the first grade, and I was 5 years old when I entered the first grade, I could count better than any other student in my class. And so it was always assumed that I was brighter than they were, which is not true at all. I wasn't any smarter than the rest of them, but I'd had the benefit of my Uncle Jack beginning to teach me math. And this is just the beginning. And in later videos, I'm going to show you more things you can do with this model and begin to teach them the concepts of addition and subtraction, and I'll show you that in the next video. But just remember, I want to emphasize this. We might spend several days just getting to this point where I might have the child building this up numerous times to fully get a feel for it, because it's practice is how the mind works. The more repetition you do, the better you understand it. So what I've just described in this video might take you several days, or with some children maybe even weeks. It doesn't matter. Every child goes at their own pace. Remember that. And always praise them for their accomplishment. And if they make a mistake, say, hey, you're learning from your mistake. That's good. That means you're doing something. Always praise mistakes as effort. And an effort is what it takes to work in this world. As you go through life in the world, you're going to make a lot more mistakes than non-mistakes, and you're going to learn from them and benefit from them in indirect ways. So always praise that. Always positive, not negative. Compliment the child. That builds a self-esteem and confidence, and keeps them from having negative feelings about whatever it is you're teaching. That applies to anything, by the way, whether you're teaching English or anything else, but it's particularly true of math. So now I'll see you on the next video where we talk more about how to use this to begin to teach them addition and